All right, we are recording here. We are live.
Live and direct from the FTMB studios.
Yeah. It's
okay.
Great. I'm glad we got this studio, Matt. It's a really nice studio.
Yeah, I'm glad that we invested all this money into a very nice studio.
Yeah, thank you to all our Patreon backers and supporters and investment capitalists, people, and money bag monopoly men. It's really helped out.
All our big budget advertisers.
Yeah. Today we're advertised by Black Panther.
Lisa mattresses.
And the mattress, yes. And also
and the movie Black Panther. And all just Marvel characters in general. We're also sponsored by them.
They are great films. But anyway, let's be serious here. We got a topic I think that is near and dear to both of our hearts as far as music goes. And today's episode will be about Jeff Rosenstock's latest album, Post, dropped on January 1st of 2018. The first album of the year.
With little fanfare, just kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was awesome. Very exciting moment. And then I think we had different reactions when we actually listened to it. And then I'll kind of find out how both of us feel about it as we go through this, I think.
For sure. But you know what else is exciting, Matt? Beer. And this is the #1 music and beer podcast on the internet. So
I had almost forgotten.
Don't you ever forget again. But what are you drinking over there, Matt?
So I have a strong dark ale by Waterloo Brewing. It's a Belgian brewery. It's 8%. It's really good. Obviously, Belgium is known for their beer. This one is the beer of the bravery from 1815. So they've been doing this a long time. Craft beer brewed since 1456.
For real.
That's a long time ago, man. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing over there.
We don't got beer that old here.
No, but I tell you what,
craft beer. We should. Let's give it some time.
Yeah. Just pause the rest of humanity for a little while.
Yeah, we'll get there.
All right, what are you drinking?
Can we cue up the failure music here? All right.
And insert failure
music. I gotta come clean, Matt. I am not drinking a beer on this podcast.
Oh man, not even a PBR.
Not a single drop. This is now the music and coffee podcast. I goofed. I didn't hold up my end of the bargain.
Okay.
I hope our fans.
Drinks for both of us.
Yeah, I'm sorry to our fans and to our sponsor, Black Panther, for not upholding that end of the deal. It is great coffee though. It's Starbucks.
Oh well.
It's a Starbucks blend, espresso blend.
Okay, well I'll count it.
Yeah. as long as you're not upset with me.
No, I'll let it slide this time.
Please excuse the siren. I'm sure that's probably kind of loud.
Yeah, I could hear it.
Yeah, the Marvel is sending their copywriters out to get me for not pitching
already. Wow, that was quick.
I fucked up, man. I fucked up.
Oh, buddy, Black Panther. He's pretty fast.
He's coming to get me.
He moves quick.
It's young Sheldon riding shotgun. Oh god.
They team up later on as part of the Marvel universe.
It was leaked. It was leaked.
It was leaked. I can't wait to see that movie.
Okay. All right. We are done with the beer segment of this podcast, and we're gonna move right on into the music. So let's go, baby. Woo!
Let's go. All right, so should we go track list?
Yeah, I guess let's go track list here.
Let's track list it. First up, Morning. 5 seconds long. Anything to say about it?
I have absolutely nothing to say about Morning. It sounds like maybe something that was on his voicemail a friend left him and
I
he
think
just
so.
snuck it in there, I guess. So
Yes, snuck it in as the first 5 seconds.
yeah. But all right. But after that, we've got an interesting one for Jeff afterwards here.
Yeah.
USA. Quite the long.
Yeah.
First of all, I think most fans of Jeff will notice the length of this song. Clocking in at 7 minutes and 32 seconds. This is significantly longer than I would say, like over his previous two albums. Like the average length of song is about like 2.5 to 3 minutes. This easily over like doubles that time, and I think that I'll kind of tie in later, sort of what I think about this. But it's an experiment that I think Jeff took with this album for sure. Kind of maybe branching out of the norm of what he has done, but also in a lot of ways he kind of sticks to the norm, which I think is both a positive and a negative for this album. If you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, the thing that I was going to talk about with these longer songs, because I think there's 3 that are longer. Well, two that really stand
Two are
out.
significantly longer, yes.
2 are significantly long. But it is different for him. And I think it's pretty just ambitious in general.
Yeah.
Like, not many bands are really doing like 7-minute songs right now. It's not
especially not
popular
punk rock bands.
Exactly. So he really went out on a limb with it, and like we'll talk about each song individually, but I think he nails it. He does a great job in some parts of it. I mean, sometimes in some of those ballads it drags on a little bit, but I mean, I think it was something really cool. Like he gets points from me for trying something new and different, and really
for sure. And
he
does, like you said, he really nails like the movements and passages throughout this song. Like there are defined sections for sure, and they move seamlessly in between each other. And I really love this. What I would guess I consider the first song on the album. Truly, I think it's a great one, and it's a great kickoff to the album, and kind of it shows Jeff is growing. I'd say.
And of course we'll compare this album to Worry and We Cool and his other projects.
Yeah.
But always Jeff does like a great job of like, building up energy, especially in Worry. I think just like the energy like builds up and then he brings it back down and builds you back up again. And it's just like,
the ebbs
there's
and
like
flow.
a really nice ebb and flow, and it feels natural and organic. And he kind of like does that in this song too, is one of the things about it.
But also, I guess going back to Worry, this song kind of kicks off with very similar themes to what we've seen on Worry, with like modern day malaise. Especially like you can totally see it with the chant at the end of "We're tired, we're bored." So I think Jeff is exploring similar themes with this album that we've seen before. And initially, that kind of I wasn't too on board with that. I kind of felt like a lot of these songs were sort of like Worry B-sides, or like ones that didn't make the cut at first, and then he just sort of compiled them together here. But we'll kind of get into it more. But I think my initial reaction versus when I sat down with the lyric sheet and read through them, I think this one definitely kind of begins to create its own identity, extraneous of Worry, that I appreciate. But I also think in the same breath, it doesn't go quite far enough.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same thing. Yeah. I think if you kind of the first thing I would say is if you put the lyrics kind of on a spectrum between like personal and like political, and, interior versus exterior. I think in Worry, I thought it was more personal, and I like that a lot about it. I think now Jeff is kind of going more towards the political side. It's not
this is a definitely
really
political
like
album.
Deep personal stuff as much. I mean, there are obviously some, but not quite as much. It's more external stuff.
And I'm really glad you brought that up, because I was like, at first I was like, oh yeah, like I said earlier, I thought that, this is Worry B-sides. But as I read the lyrics and really understand what he was saying, this is Jeff's political album, whereas Worry was more of his like introspective album. Not to say that this doesn't have that at all on it. It does. But definitely politically charged on this one, more so than his other ones. And I think that comes with the time that it was recorded, like with Donald Trump as president, and so much like discord sown in our current political climate, that it kind of makes sense that that is what would kind of influence this album. And
for sure, yeah, for sure. But I also agree with you that I just don't think it's like cutting enough. It's just like not like really penetrating into something deeper into that as much as Worry did.
Yeah, Worry had like a very definitive identity, and so did We Cool. I kind of think of like We Cool as having these like amazing, like every track on it is kind of like a great song that I can basically sing along to. Way explosive, way powerful. I love like each one of those songs on there, and I think they each stand their own as essentially like a single. And Worry has that, like you said, it's really introspective, and it has that really cool sort of mini concept album wrapped up within it, with everything sort of flowing together at the latter half of the album. And that's like something I really identify with when I think about that album, is that awesome like passage through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I almost think of like We Cool as like just the singles album. Like every song is like a hit. Worry is like a more complete album, like everything blends and flows and ties together well. Mm-hmm. Whereas Post is like a little bit of both and just not quite as good at either one.
Exactly.
So that's why I think if I was going to like grade it or something, I would probably grade it a little bit below those ones for that reason. But it's interesting, that he did something different like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like we've gotten a little bit off topic from the song, but I like that. Sort of this, like, I think this song sort of encompasses everything that we've talked about. It's got the political nature, but it also has those themes that tie back to his previous albums in it. And it's also kind of the banger of the album. So sort of like a We Cool sort of song. So it would have been so cool if every song on here had that sort of amalgamation like USA does, but I think that would have kind of really like been like, oh yeah, this was the experiment that Jeff did and it really paid off. Not that this didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but speaking individually of the song, this one is really good. It's a really good start to the album.
Definitely. Anything else to say about it?
No.
Okay, cool. Next, we're going on to Your Throat, kind of another song with a lot of themes of modern melancholy and frustration. And then, like you said, with politically charged, you could say, oh, it's like frustration with kind of the world.
And not having a voice. Not being able to like evoke your emotions and like speak your mind.
Yeah, I can't find any way. The lyrics go, I can't find any way to relax. I can do nothing of impact. Like just feeling like helpless, and you've got all these words that you want to say, but you can't. Or if you do, they probably would fall on deaf ears, or they just really have no impact at all.
Yeah, it's a
frustrating feeling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Musically, this one is kind of interesting. Like, it's more like synth poppy, which Jeff always kind of has done.
Yeah.
But it's like a little over the top actually on this one for me. There's some hand claps. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's like I really didn't like that at all. And I think more than ever, there's group vocals in a lot of these songs.
Yeah, they are.
And I mean, really, what makes Jeff stands out is a lot of times is his vocal delivery. Is just like, it's not like he has an amazing voice, but it's just like he's like putting passion and everything behind his words, and usually his vocals like sits atop the mix, and it really makes the album stand out. And I just feel like on this, with some of the like group vocals, and sometimes he's even, I think he modified and put some effects on his vocals in the next song actually. So I don't know. I think those elements, like I didn't like those as much.
Okay.
personally.
That's interesting. You would like it more if Jeff kind of was always at the forefront, and you think he kind of gets melded into the mix a little too much here?
I just think it wasn't like, it's like he experimented a little bit but didn't go all in with it. I mean, if he would have just been all in or just not done it at all, that I would have liked it more, I think.
I do really love the chorus on this, though. I love Jeff's delivery on the choruses. I really enjoy.
Yes, this is an excellent chorus.
Yeah,
and it's really well written chorus. Like, it's really easy to sing along to.
Yeah.
There's a great rock guitar breakdown at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good song too. I mean,
yeah,
it keeps the album going for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I did take a note on this one where when I was originally thinking of how do I separate this from Worry, and I guess I was thinking Worry in this ties to like the title of the album itself, Post. And so I was thinking this is like kind of post worrying, where worry was, like you said, ruminating and worrying about the future and what would happen, and post is like after that horrible thing happened and how we react or how we dealt with it while it was happening, essentially. And I think this song really kind of evokes that, where, you know, this I guess if you tie it into the political nature, you know, politics is really screwed up now. He was worried about that, and it happened. And now, how are we dealing with it post trauma, essentially? And Jeff is saying he's having issue finding his voice. He's having issue making any sort of impact now that all of this has happened. So he's no longer worrying. It's happened, and so how are we dealing with that, essentially?
That's really interesting. That's a really good point. It's not even something that I realized right away, but I think you're 100% right. Like, that kind of connection is definitely there.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, why he called it Post, and that's kind of where I went with it.
Yeah, I think that's the best explanation that I've heard. I don't think I've listened to a few interviews with him, and I don't know if anyone's ever asked him about that.
The title.
So I don't know for sure about the title of the album, but I think you're onto it.
Okay, cool. We should tweet at him and be like, "Hey, we figured it out, Jeff."
I'll do that. Yeah. Jeff, I figured you out. I'm on to you.
I'm on to you. All right. Matthew McConaughey. All right. All right. So next song. All This Useless Energy, another one of like, you know, just having this energy, it's useless. You don't have any power in this world. Another kind of, you know, frustration. More themes tying back to it.
Yeah, definitely goes with the same theme.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say this is one of, like, if this was just like the single, I'd say it's one of the best ones. Like, I think this song is up there with any of the best ones from We Cool.
Definitely. And
it's just more of a traditional Jeff song, you know what I mean?
And another great chorus too. I love his delivery on the "Oh please, you're not fooling anyone." And he gets real yelpy and like kind of punk rock screamy. Definitely a older sounding Jeff song, or I guess a more of a We Cool sounding Jeff song. Yeah,
I agree. And the bass tone on this song is just killer.
Oh, I'll have to listen to that more so.
Yeah. Think about that. Like, pay attention to the bass when you're re-listening to this one. It's like, it's just an amazing tone on it. It sounds like it's like the bass of like a Ferrari or something. I don't know how to say it. Like, dude, it's like an engine. It's like grimy.
That's
really good.
As a bass player, do you find yourself focusing more on the bass when you listen to songs?
Sometimes I will, like, I'll specifically seek it out, but especially if there's like a certain tone or something that I notice that stands out, then I'll notice it more than I would have if I didn't.
Jeff is really good at you know, perfecting tones. Like, he really nails, like, every song like sounds great, and I think he chooses the guitar or bass tones very well and wisely for each song.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's underappreciated about Jeff is that, like, all the different instruments that he uses, like, it's not like a traditional punk rock thing to use, like, glockenspiels and freaking all this crazy stuff. Like, he'll use electronic drums sometimes. He's just like a lot of different sounds and stuff. But the way he like conducts it and puts it all together and orchestrates it always ends up amazing. Like musically, it's always incredible.
I think he's been around long enough in the industry and been making music long enough that he's a true like master of it at this point, a true auteur.
For sure.
He's just really perfected what he does and consistently pumps out excellent music. That's kind of on a different level than maybe some of his peers.
Mm-hmm. Anything? Did you have anything else? Any other notes for this song?
No. Kind of it's sort of similar to the past ones. I really like it. Like you said, a great single-esque sort of track for this album.
There's in this middle part of the album, we kind of get into, I don't like the singles or like, the shorter, like traditional Jeff's type songs that are more popular and We Cool and Worry, including this next one, Powerlessness. I mean, a lot of the same themes and stuff that we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. I like this, the verse is great. I think the first verse is great, and the chorus is really great too. How can you solve all the problems around you when you can't even solve the ones in your head?
Yep, exactly. I have that exact lyric written down.
Yeah, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another like short, quicker, but really good rock song.
Yeah, it's all about it's like how it's like double frustration. How can you affect what's around you, or how can you control the external forces in your life when you can't even figure out the ones that are internal to you? I feel bad for Jeff, man. He goes through a lot of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it comes out in his music for sure.
Yeah. I guess actually, I kind of going to the last song and this song, I did have a note of, all right, like kind of back to how Jeff creates his songs and kind of how he's mastered it. He's really mastered upbeat music with like the most downtrodden lyrics, essentially the most like melancholy sort of beaten down lyrics. When you go and read them, you're like, oh man, this is like, if you were just listening to it without picking up any of the words, you're like, oh, this is kind of a fun song. But when you go and read the lyrics, you're like, whoa. So it's an interesting dichotomy, I think, that Jeff pulls off really well without ever diving into that the realm of like too like saccharinely sad, too insanely sad boy, feel bad for yourself. I think he writes lyrics very well in that regards.
Yeah, I love that contrast. Like he consistently does that, and that's kind of the style that I really love, especially like when I'm even trying to write music. Like I really like to do the same thing, like major chords, but something like lyrically that's not major at all, you know?
Exactly. And he says what he needs to say without needing like an insane vocabulary or like any sort of crazy wordplay at all, but he still gets his message across directly with interesting introspective lyrics that are like a joy to read usually. So I think he's just really great at everything he does.
For sure.
Anything else about Powerlessness?
No. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah. TV Stars is a cool one. I like TV Stars a lot, and I think
me too.
It goes back to this is more of an experimental one for him. It doesn't really tie back to previous albums. It's a very much a post type of song.
Yeah, it's not even really punk at all. It's more like a classic rock type song with a lot of synths and pianos.
Yeah,
it's really ambitious. It's big, but also catchy. There's a lot of like really different things, and he's very unique. But this one's really good. Like it's just like a really good, almost like a pop song, but it's awesome.
Yeah. I did an interesting thing that I think about this album, or about this song, is this might be just an entirely side conversation. It sort of ties into what we're talking about here, where the chorus, TV stars don't care about who you are. It's an interesting thought that I've been thinking of in the sort of modern world of access to basically any celebrity through their Twitter or through YouTube or whatever. We have this everybody now can have this connection with a celebrity, or in this case a TV star, as he puts it. And you may feel like you are very close to them, or you may feel like you know who they are, or you'd like get along with them. They feel like your friend. You feel close to them. But if you stop and think about it, and in this case, I would tie it into us talking about Jeff. We were just saying, oh yeah, we feel like we know how Jeff feels, but like he literally doesn't know who we are at all. He doesn't. Right. He is the TV star that doesn't care who we are. Right. He may care about his fans, but he doesn't. If we were to meet Jeff, it would be an incredibly one-sided relationship where we would feel like we would know him very well, but he would literally know absolutely nothing about us.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Yeah. And this one makes me think about like not to go on like a rant or anything, but like the whole like Oprah like run for president type thing, like. Yeah. This is a TV personality that does not give a shit about you, okay?
Yeah, they don't know. Like, you don't know them.
Learn from your mistakes, America. Like, people on TV, like, they're just branding themselves to seem likable and personable. They don't give a shit about you.
Yep.
Like, don't worship these people. Yeah. Like, I mean, I love Jeff for his music, but I'm not going to do something crazy if I see him in person. It'll just be like, if I ever saw him, it'd just be like, oh, what's up, Jeff? I love your music.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, whatever. Don't have to be fucking weird about it.
Yeah, it's putting them up on kind of a weird pedestal, like, worshipping sort of ideal. Yeah, it's odd. And it's another, kind of back to that alienating feeling of modern society. It's like a very alien sort of detached relationship that is like incredibly one-sided. And when you think of it like that, it's kind of depressing.
It's like depressing and weird. It's just like it's just weird, I guess. I don't know.
An odd. I think maybe before the internet and stuff, there were obviously tabloids, but it wasn't as widespread. But this is like a very modern, feeling to have.
I think definitely the social media access and being able to like, it feels like you're having a one-on-one conversation if like a celebrity replies to you.
Yeah, exactly. You get so like if we were to tweet something out and let's say that Jeff retweeted it, like it would like make my month. It would be insane. Like, but Jeff, if you're listening to this, please tweet that. It would make my month.
But I don't have anything else.
Yeah, to say. I don't know. I like TV Stars. It's a great song.
Yeah, it's really good. It's one of my favorites on the album. I was gonna pick favorites.
Switching gears here, I'm not a huge fan of Melba. I think it is probably the weakest track on the album, personally.
I agree. I wrote that it's mostly forgettable.
Yeah.
Which sounds harsh, but there's nothing lyrically, musically, or in his vocal delivery that just hit me. I don't know. It felt like it didn't need to be there.
Yeah, it could have been taken off the track listing for sure, and I wouldn't have missed it. It doesn't evolve. Like you said, Jeff is really good at kind of making music that ebbs and flows. I feel like this one is very static throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
I don't think it's saying very much. It's probably personal to him. I don't know what happened in Melbourne, but I'm sure.
No, I don't know either.
But whatever it was, I don't think he communicated it well to the audience here. So I don't. It's a mediocre, okay song, but I don't think it really needed to be here, essentially.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Okay. So the next one is Beating My Head Against the Wall.
Yeah. What do you think about this one?
I mean, I feel like these two tracks, Melba and Beating My Head Against the Wall, kind of like it loses a little bit of steam.
Yeah.
This one is at least shorter. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's simple.
It's just a quick little fun song, but
quick little fun like synth pop funk song. It's fine, but not groundbreaking and
at least though, unlike Melba, this one ties back into the theme, I think, of essentially trying to argue with someone who is unwilling to hear your side of the conversation, and it feels like beating your head against the wall trying to talk to them.
It does tie in better thematically.
Yeah,
I agree.
But it is, it's other than it's a short one, not too much going on, but I do like the song more than Melba, and I think it does have a place in this album. But I mean, very simple. Not much more I can really say about it.
Yeah, sure.
And another cool one, I think, next song, 9 out of 10. Also the 9th song on a 10-song album.
So genius.
Where's this man's Grammy? I think this kind of ties back into like a USA or a TV Stars type of track. I really, for when I first listened to it, I think 9 out of 10 was my favorite song on the album. It's still up there. I think it's a great one. Yeah,
the chorus is awesome.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of his Bomb the Music Industry days. The way he sort of delivers the chorus, it's like sort of sky delivery. I feel like maybe it's just me who feels that way, but it feels like even earlier throwback for him.
Yeah, I didn't really pick up on the like ska vibes of it.
Yeah, I mean the guitars, like nothing about the song is ska, but I feel like his vocal delivery could like fit into a ska song, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Mm-hmm. Is there like female backing vocals on this?
There is, and I did not notice it until I put my nice headphones on and listened to it for this podcast. And yeah, there's a female backing vocal throughout, if not the entire thing, the majority of it. That I like, and I actually wrote this down. This song has like the most like beautifully lush production, I think, of all the songs on this album. There's like beautiful little twinkling noises. There's those female vocals, and it's all mixed incredibly well. It's a delicious song to listen to in that way.
Yeah, I've never heard like that kind of like female backing vocals in a Jeff song, previous to this album. So that was interesting, but it definitely works really well, especially with this song. Yeah, because you're right, kind of like that synth vibe that's just kind of flowing. Yeah.
And the guitar solo is excellent on this one too, and it's kind of like an electronic, like a kind of I know they're all electric guitars, but the tone is more of like an electronic music sort of guitar tone.
Yeah, it is really good. It's like clean and tidy and like really to the point, but it's an awesome guitar solo for sure.
And I guess even more so on this song, like you can't not discuss the lyrics. I feel like for no matter who you are, you felt sort of the way that Jeff is describing in this.
Yeah, it's like a very, like, I don't know how to say it. It's kind of like he just like sets the scene so well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the same
something that seems mundane, but is just like very relatable at the same time.
Exactly, and he says it directly. You know exactly what he's talking about, and it's relatable. I relate fairly heavily to the song, and I like it a lot. If not the best song, one of the best. And it may be objectively the best song on it if you're just looking at things from I don't know if you can say that, but excellent track.
Yeah, it's really good. And then now we're at the end.
Yeah, the closer. I like it a lot. What about you?
Yeah, I like it. Not quite as much as the others, I guess. Yeah. I mean, but this one is like like we've been talking about, 11 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah, and
like super long.
It's at the 6 minute. Yeah, it's already a long song for Jeff. At 6 minutes and 20 seconds is kind of where the main song stops, and then you have that other 5-ish minutes of like kind of ambient drone noise, which has never been in any of like maybe in his past 3 albums. That's not appeared at all, and I don't know if it's ever appeared in a Jeff Rosenstock song.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I felt like if I had 2 critiques of the song, it would be that the beginning is like a little bit like chanty and like a little too slow, and then at the end that they're kind of like just jamming and like it's like ambient and it just like meanders a little bit too much for me. But I mean, overall, I like it, and I think it's a really good conclusion to the album. I would say that.
You were talking about the bass tones before. I love the guitar tones on this one. The real chunky, heavy guitars just right at the very start. And then
it's just straight up power chords. But it's really good. I mean, he always nails the tone, and you're right.
And another kind of similar to 9 out of 10, another great guitar solo in this one as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, is there like any other reason that you like really like this one?
Just I guess back to more of Jeff's delivery. I kind of wish he would say it more, but his delivery of "We're not gonna let them win" is just kind of like I feel super pumped at that. And this is sort of a he's been kind of downtrodden throughout the whole album, and this is the one where it's like, yeah, man, things may suck. Like, we may have got beat. We may live in this time of intense nastiness towards our fellow man and horrible political divisiveness. But, they can do all this shit to us. But, we're not going to let them win in the end. And we can get through this. So it's kind of, I think this ends on a positive, triumphant note. After kind of slogging through some negativity throughout this whole album. So I like Jeff ends it on, I think, on a high note here, and I like it.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason that I like it too, as the ending song. It feels appropriate. Like at the end, like, we'll make it happen. We won't let them win.
We can do it. Exactly. And it's not all like we are still us. We're still here, and it's time to fight back, not let them win. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, so that's the album. Any final thoughts for you?
I think we had talked before we even did this podcast about this was an interesting one. I love that it made me think a lot about how I felt about it. And on first listen, I was like, oh, this is awesome. My second listen, I was like, it's kind of maybe just worry, B-sides. My third listen, I was starting to get into it more. And then when I finally pulled up the lyric sheet and really dug into it, it really started to grow more and more on me. So yeah, I think Jeff pulls through with another great album in a fairly short time span, and he's on a roll here. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite artists for sure, and I recommend him to anybody. And I also recommend, if you haven't listened to him before, start with We Cool, then go to Worry, and then listen to Post. I think they should be handled as sort of a trifecta set.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great way to like get into Jeff Rosenstock. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me it was, I kind of listened to it a couple times. It was like, okay, this is good. I was paying attention to the lyrics at first because like I know like that's like part of Jeff's style is like you really have to pay attention. Like there's a lot of details that you can miss if you're not paying attention to it. And then I just kind of let it sit for a while. But really I felt like after a while I started coming back to it and I was like, yeah, these are really great. Like they're actually really catchy. Like kind of at first I was like, well, this isn't quite as catchy as We Cool. It's not quite as epic as Worry, but it really it grew on me for sure after I let it sit for a while. And because this is kind of a separate thing and I don't have to compare it so much to We Cool and Worry. But it is really interesting to watch his progression and see how he's building on the things that he's done in the past.
Definitely. What do you think's in the future for Jeff?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask you too. Like it's going to be really interesting because if you think of these as a trifecta, then I don't know what's next.
Yeah, is he gonna?
But I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
If I had to guess, I would say it would be more of this kind of like epic style. Like I don't know. I kind of think Jeff is drawn to this like doing things like really big and like making it, you know, really grand and trying to make like the greatest rock song and the greatest rock album. I could see him going that route or completely different and, you know, making me look like an idiot. I have no idea.
The greatest rock album of all time.
But that would be really cool, man. Like, yeah. I mean, he's a really good artist. Like,
yeah,
why not go for it?
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. If nothing else, it would be really interesting.
White Reaper tried it, and obviously it wasn't the best. I don't know if you can objectively say what the best rock album of all time is, but they made a damn good rock album.
Right. Yeah, they did something really cool when they did it, and I think Jeff would do something even like bigger and more grandiose. I could totally see him trying to do it. That would be really cool.
He's got years on them.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And I think, you know, he's probably a little more popular too. I mean, definitely for sure more popular, so he has that going. But yeah, what do you think? Like, what would be for you? What direction would you want to see him take his next music project?
That's really hard to say, because I love what he's been doing. Yeah, and I kind of talked about that he experimented with his album, and not all of it panned out, and not everything was an experiment. But I would love to see him take, like kind of a left turn, or put out more things, kind of like a USA, but really nail it on keep that focus, like laser beam straight through the entire album, and see if he can tie that all together. Would be interesting for me.
Yeah, if he could pull that off, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, but I also wanted to say, if you've never seen Jeff live, he is on tour now. Matt and I had the opportunity to see him last year around this time, and he is excellent live. It's insane. Yeah. It's insane, his energy, how good he sounds, the speed at which he can get through, like, just string songs together. He's an excellent live performer, and if he is in a town near you or in your town, definitely go see him. It's a show I don't think you'd forget.
Yeah, it's a really good show. Like, really good musicians, you know, up there with him.
Yeah, and he also goes on, and he also goes on tour with good, like, other great bands. Like, we learned about Roswell Kid, who was touring with him, and the Menzingers. But I think he has a good taste, a good ear for music, and I think he goes on tour with bands that are similarly great that you may have never heard of before. So definitely, he's going to be in Columbus in May. That's where I'll be seeing him. But if you have the chance to see Jeff, definitely go for it.
And he's going to be at Ace of Cups, right?
Ace of Cups.
That's insane.
Let me. I got my calendar here. So if you're in the Columbus area, it's May 1st. It's a Tuesday. Definitely check him out if you're listening in the Columbus area.
Yeah, and if anyone is listening that doesn't know, like, that's a really small venue for someone as big as Jeff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that'll be really interesting. I'm really upset that I'm not going to be able to see it.
It's a bummer, man. I wish he could be here.
Yeah. That's going to be fun.
It's going to be super intimate. When we saw him, it was like a big theater type venue, kind of a medium sized. And this is definitely small. Like, right, you can stand up right next to the stage, no problem.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
All right, cool.
All right, anything else?
No. Thanks again for listening. Check out Jeff Rosenstock. Yeah, check out Jeff Rosenstock. Check out our other stuff on FTMB. Oh yeah, let's plug ourselves. Yeah, check out our if you haven't been to our website, ftmbpodcast.com. I'm doing like monthly album reviews. This month, American Pleasure Club put out a new album. It's not someone that I had ever listened to before. It's just one guy, but he does a really cool solo album. So I'm going to be writing about that and putting it up soon, probably this week, hopefully. Awesome. I've never heard of them. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, it was really interesting. Not something that I would normally be super into. Just randomly found it on Bandcamp, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. Awesome.
And is there anything else that you were going to write about? Like your last one was really good.
Yeah, I've been trying to, when I post on the site, not as much album reviews, but sort of more of sort of how music makes me feel, kind of more of a conceptual pieces about music. But I've got one in the works right now that ties into Rainer Maria, a great 90s, early 2000s emo band, and I'm kind of trying to write about sort of how their music affects me and makes me feel, essentially. So it's in the works. Yeah, keep an eye out for that one. And follow us.
Yeah, I want to do some more, those style, just like music in general, not specific album reviews.
Yeah,
I don't have anything right now, but eventually I'll get to.
But yeah, check us out on our website. Follow us on Twitter. That's Matt. What is it? At FTMB Podcast.
At FTMB_podcast.
Okay, awesome. Cool.
All right.
Thanks a lot,
FTMB
guys.
out.
FTMB out.